everybody, welcome to Chair Yoga with Sam. We're going to again today cover a typical chair yoga class with a fully rounded sequence that lasts 30 to 40 minutes. And this is part of 4 sequences that work very well together to create a course of 4 weeks, which you can then return to the first video to start the sequences all over again. If your doctor has asked that you avoid certain types of exercise, please take note of that and just sit out for anything that applies in this sequence. And also just avoid doing anything that doesn't feel comfortable. Yoga should be feeling comfortable throughout, although we may be working hard with muscle groups. You should avoid anything that feels painful. So we're going to start with our initial relaxation and we're going to put some focus onto our breathing. When we breathe normally, we are using the primal part of the brain, which naturally breathes in and out without us consciously thinking. When we move to conscious breathing, maybe changing and altering the breath, slowing it down in yoga usually, although there are some other breaths that don't particularly slow it down. We're going to do a slower breath today. When we slow down the breathing and consciously think about our breathing, we use a more advanced part of the brain, which is the cerebral cortex. If this is triggered and activated when we are doing our deep breathing. So I'm going to invite you to come and sit in a more comfortable position, maybe towards the back of the chair a little bit more, but ensure that you have contact with the floor, your feet have contact. And we're sitting in our nice right angles again at the hips, at the knees and the ankles, relaxing the shoulders back and down. And if it feels comfortable to do so, then gently close the eyes. And we could start by just checking in with our breathing. So we're moving to automatic breathing, to noticing the breath, noticing the quality, the length of the breath, noticing the sensation of the breath coming into the nostrils and out of the nostrils. And maybe also noticing what parts of the body are affected, are moved when we breathe in, and what parts of the body move slightly as we breathe out. And then I'm going to invite you to place one hand on your belly and one hand around the chest area. And we're going to take a slightly deeper breath in and out. And here we're going to notice the expansion of the belly and the lifting of the chest as we breathe in, and how it draws back as we exhale. I'm going to try that a few more times. You may find, if you are a reverse breather, that actually your belly sucks in when you breathe in. This might be through years of habit. So maybe you could try consciously allowing the belly to expand as you breathe in and draw back to the spine as you breathe out. And checking in with the shoulders as well occasionally, because when we concentrate on something, we can have a tendency to start to tense the shoulders and they creep up slightly towards the ears. So if that's happening, then roll them back and down. And then placing both hands in the lap, blinking the eyes open. Well done. We're going to start to stretch and wake the body a little bit more by bringing the hands down to the side of the chair and turning the palms to face outwards. We're going to breathe in, stretch the arms out wide and high. Breathe out and draw the hands back down to the chest. Let's try that one more time. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and relaxing as we breathe out. Let's reverse that movement. We're going to breathe in And we're going to look up at the hand as it raises upwards. And then as we come out, take the neck straight again. Breathe in, raising the head to look up at the hands. And breathe out. And one more. Breathe in. And breathe out. Lovely. So the first part of the body that we're going to bring some focus to today is the hands. Usually it's the neck, we're going to work on that a little bit later, but we're going to work on the hands today. So we can just start by giving them a wriggle, getting right into all of the joints, stretching and squeezing, stretching and squeezing, and again. Well done. And then we're going to take the hands out in front of us, and we're going to drop them down and up, down and up. And now we're going to hold the hands ahead with the palms facing forward, and we're going to dial one hand down, bring it back up, and then the other side. If you find that your arms are starting to ache because we're holding them up parallel, then you can bring the elbows back to the side and do the same thing. Lovely. Give them a little shake out. And then we're going to clasp the hands, so their fingers are clasped, and we're going to circle. One way, and then the other. One way, and the other. And now we can do it with claws. Circling one way and the other, and one way and the other. Lovely. Give them another shake out, placing them on the lap, keeping the shoulders nice and relaxed. And we're going to bring them up with the palms facing down towards the floor. And then we're going to stretch them out as wide as we possibly can. Stretch them into a lovely starfish shape. And then relax the arms back down. And again, bringing them up, stretching the fingers out wide as far as is possible. And again, relaxing them. Let's turn the palms upwards and try that again. So this time the palms are up and then we're stretching. And relax. Lovely. The last one we're going to do for the fingers is a tendon stretch. So we have the palm upwards and we're going to focus on one hand at a time. So we'll take the little finger and the other hand is going to bring a gentle pressure. You could maybe place 3 fingers over the top of the finger and then the back of the finger, the thumb, and a gentle pull. But this should just feel tight and not painful. So if it does feel painful, then ease up a bit. With the thumb, you can wrap the whole hand around and gently pull back. So this is great if you do a lot of work on a computer. Let's try with the other hand, stretching out the tendons. Only taking it as far as there is tension, but not discomfort, not pain. And the next hand. And then wrapping the fingers around with the thumb. Give them a lovely shake out. So we're going to move from the hands to the feet. I'm going to move the chair back a little bit so you can definitely see my feet. Again, we can move away from the back of the chair to hold ourselves upright. So trying to sit nice and tall. Imagine that you're like a marionette puppet with strings drawing you upwards, but the shoulders still relaxed down and the feet are nice and grounded. Okay, we're going to start with a very simple movement. We're going to raise the toes off the ground, but keep the balls of the feet and the heels of the feet on the ground. So let's do that a couple of times. You should feel a nice little stretch. Maybe even as we draw the toes upwards, we're feeling that stretch going outwards, the toes spreading. Or maybe just imagine it. One day you might find that they do spread apart. And then we're going to, after a few times doing the toes, we're going to try the heels. So we're going to lift up onto the balls of the feet and down, up and down, up and down. Lovely. And let's raise one leg up and do the same kind of sensation, the same kind of movement, pointing and flexing. Little circles, release the ankle. And then lower the foot. Let's try on the other side. It's quite a good idea sometimes to separate our movements so we can see what's going on with each leg. The movement's happening all the way up to the hip here. So you can see what's happening with each foot, each leg, each ankle, each knee. And it might be that it's a little bit harder on one side than the other, or that you find that one side has more movement, more scope for movement than the other. And lower. We're going to scooch ourselves a little bit to the front of the chair. So we're definitely holding our body up. And then we're going to try and lift this leg. So we're going to lift the leg, holding onto it. Again, you can release the feet, give them a circle. And then it's your choice as to whether you hold on to the leg and start to squeeze the leg upwards towards the chest, relaxing the shoulders. Or maybe you can take it a little bit stronger and take the hands in front of the knee. And you can see that takes your leg a little bit higher, a little bit stronger on your hip. And let's hold it there for a moment. If you need to come down, just come down and rest. We're going to have a little go at stretching the leg out before we lower it. But if you want to just lower it, that's fine. And we might notice a couple of clicks as the knee comes into action. So we're going to draw it in and stretch it out. You might notice that your knee or your hip reacts as it's being warmed up. And then lower that foot down. Let's have a go on the other side. So first of all, let's lift the leg with some support underneath. So you get to adjust yourself. So the knee's coming towards the chest, the shoulders are still relaxed back and down. And if you want to take that a little bit stronger, that squeeze a little bit higher, then take your hands in front of the leg. And you'll notice that there's a bit more movement. If that starts to feel a bit too much, then always draw back to the softer version. And keep breathing through this movement. And then we're going to see if we can open the leg out forward and back and forward and back. And then relax that one back down. Well done, everybody. Okay, the next two poses are seated versions of Warrior 1 and Warrior 2. They're a little bit stronger. I don't always incorporate them into my seated yoga classes because they are a little bit stronger. But we can have a go at these poses working on just the upper body, or we can have a go at working on the poses including some hip work as well. So if you do have issues with your hips, or if you've had a hip replacement or operations around this area, then you'll keep your legs facing forward. You won't do the lower part of the body exercise. However, if you're able to move your hips okay, then again we're coming towards the front of the chair and we're going to turn one leg out at a 90-degree angle, or as much as you can get to a 90-degree angle. So remembering that if you are having issues with your hips, you will keep your legs facing forward. Okay, so find the leg position that suits you. I'm going to scooch a little bit more so that my feet are flat on the ground, that I have feeling fully grounded, fully supported by the ground. And the first thing I'm going to do is to turn towards that outward knee. And then I'm going to raise my arm up. If you have your legs forward, the pose is going to be to turn towards the side and to raise the arm up. To adjust from this pose into a warrior two, we're going to take the torso back towards the centre and the arms are going to come wide. And then we can look over the front arm. And this can still be done with the legs facing forward. We're just working on the upper body. Breathe steady. If you don't like to stare over the front arm because that's too much on the neck, then just face forward. So we're just working on the body from the shoulders downwards. And then everyone can start to relax the arms and relax the legs. Let's try that on the other side. So again, you might be that you have issues with one hip and that the other hip is fine. So it doesn't mean that because you didn't turn the leg on one side that you're not able to on the other. You can have a go, but if it feels too much, you can also do this quite gently. So it doesn't need to be a fully 90 degree. You come out as far as is comfortable. 90 degree is only there for if it feels comfortable to move that far. And then we're turning the torso to face the outward leg, and we're raising the arm up. Again, if you've got the legs together, you can still do the same thing with the upper part of the body. We're going to take the arms wide, and the torso is now going to face straight ahead. But if you wish to, you can turn to look at the outstretched arm. And if that doesn't feel comfortable for your neck, just keep your head faced towards you. Lower the hands and bring the legs around. And another version of this that we can do is a seated version of a extended side angle. Again, just adjust your hips as to what works. So this is to bring the leg out to the side. And again, it doesn't need to be at a full 90 degree angle. And we're going to start to lean on the outward leg. So we're coming down into a side bend, which you can feel. And again, you can take the option to take the arm above the head, or you could keep it on the hip. Coming up to sit, drawing the knee in. If you find that coming into your side bend as far as your leg is too much, then you could just come towards it. So you could just do a version of it so that yes, you are still doing your lovely side bend, but you're not coming so deep. And the arm raise will intensify it. So again, if that does stretch the side of the body too much, then bring the arm back down again. So here, or maybe adjusting the leg around a little bit, or maybe having the arm not coming all the way down. And let's lower the arm, support the leg as we draw it back in. So let's include our lovely cat-cow curls, which we've done in every session in these 4 sequences. So we're sitting nice and upright. Again, our feet are feeling grounded, flat on the feet. Roll the shoulders back and down, just to check in that they're nice and relaxed. You can place the hands on the lap if you wish to start nice and gently. And as we breathe out, sliding the hands forward, and the middle of the back is going towards the back of the chair. And then as we breathe in, we're opening the shoulders, maybe bringing our attention to the upper part of the back, and looking up at the ceiling if that's comfortable, but don't worry if it's not, you can look straight ahead. And let's rotate that movement. So we're moving the spine, from the top of the spine right down to the bottom of the spine. Noticing that the lower back naturally curves, so trying to bring the movement into the upper back. To see it from the side, you don't need to move yourself, it's just so that you can see what the movement that's happening with the spine. So stay sitting forward on your chair for this. And as I've shown you before, you can exaggerate that movement by opening the arms up on the in-breath and giving yourself a little hug on the out-breath. Opening and closing. And maybe when you give yourself a hug, you could swap the cross of the arms. Well done. We're going to move into a seated twist now. We're going to use a bit of a visualization. We're going to imagine that we're holding a lovely big beach ball. So a great big beach ball is held in our hands. We can take a deep breath in to sit tall. And as we breathe out, we're going to raise that beach ball above the head. As we breathe in, we're going to come round to one side. And as we breathe out, we're going to lower the beach ball. We're going to rest here with our breaths. Check in with your shoulders again. They can be tense as we come round. And if you don't like to bring your hands, your head around, then just look straight forward. On the next in-breath, let's lift the beach ball up again. Turning us on the out-breath this time. In-breath, come round to the other side. Out-breath, come down. Keeping the head facing forward if that's strong for the neck. Let's in-breath up. Out-breath. In-breath, sit tall. And out-breath, lower the hands all the way down. Well done. Okay, so we've been doing some stronger work at the beginning, which might have brought some tension into the neck and the shoulders. So we're going to give the shoulders a little squeeze. Squeeze and roll them back. So the squeeze, the tension is up here. Roll them back and down. Forward, squeeze, roll back and down. And you can do this throughout the practice. If you start to feel some tension, which is where we often hold it in that little joint between the neck and the shoulders. If you start to feel some tension there, give yourself a little massage or give yourself these shoulder rolls. So I've been coming forward now as well. So we've gone in both directions. Lovely. Before we come into our neck, to release our neck, we're going to do a little bit of work with our shoulders. So first of all, we're going to take the arms into cactus arms. And we're going to start to squeeze them. So you may not bring the elbows together, they may be separated, but that's the direction they're going in. So drawing the arms out, squeezing them together. And one more time. And then we're going to take them out, and we're going to take the hands onto the shoulders, give them another rotation backwards 3 times. And then forwards. And you may want to lower every so often your hands as if it starts to get heavy, or you may want to give your arms a little massage just to release any tension. Let's take the arms wide, the palms are face down, and then we're going to turn the palms to face up and bring them down again. Relaxing the shoulders if they've started to creep up. You'll be able to feel that both in the biceps and triceps. And then lower the hands with the palms facing downwards. Give yourself another shoulder roll. Lots of shoulder rolls today. Then we're going to have another little stretch out right along the arm. We're going to take the arms out, and then we're going to have the palms faced in either direction. So you should see the fingers going upwards. Then we're going to make a fist with the hands, and we're going to draw that fist downwards, and you should feel that right along the arm. Well done. You may want to rest the arms now, but otherwise you can take the palms to face forwards, make a fist, and then draw the fist downwards. So this time you can see that we've got a slightly different movement. The pinky finger is at the bottom here. And then lower the hands down. Ooh, those shoulders and those upper arms have really done some work there. So what that may create when we start to work on our shoulders and our arms is a little bit of tension in our neck. So although I usually start with a neck release to warm us up, it can sometimes be useful to put a neck release right in the middle of the session where we've created tension by doing some strong strength work. So let's release our neck now. So sitting nice and tall again, relax the shoulders back and down, and let's nod the head 3 times. If you want to add the breath, then you can breathe out as we move down, breathing in as the head comes back up again. Taking the head round to the side, trying to maintain a nice long neck. And again, breathing into centre, out to the side, breathing in to come back to centre, and breathing out to turn. And the last movement for the neck is going to be to dip the ear towards the shoulder. And again, remember, I've mentioned before that the shoulder can sometimes start to creep up as if it's trying to make contact. We don't need to make contact, we won't make contact. So relax the shoulder down. You could then start to dip it further by placing the hand onto the head, but that might feel too much, and then just release. Not pulling, just placing the hands on the head. And even stronger again is to take the opposite arm out, make fists, and then starfish, fists, stretch. And draw the head back to centre, tipping to the other side. So with yoga there's exploration happening. We explore maybe to the next level. If it feels too much, we listen to our body and we draw back to the previous. We don't push through pain barriers, stretching the arm out if it feels comfortable, and stretching and releasing, and squeezing into a fist and making a star shape. If any of these feel too much, then you take the first version and release. It could be that your version really is just a gentle dip to one side, and that's what you're exploring. You're finding your own practice. Within all of these possibilities, you're finding what suits you. So that's us worked with our neck, our shoulders and arms, our legs, our feet, our fingers and hands. And so now we're going to come up to stand. I'm going to move my block out of the way, and I'm going to adjust the chair so that it's on the side. But you can just come and stand behind the chair. And we'll start by standing nice and tall, maybe checking in with our posture for a moment. Having the feet hip width apart, relaxing the shoulders, finding some lift in the upper body, a real connection with the ground, with the feet. And maybe noticing if you tend to dip, so you can see I have a bit of an arch here, tucking the pelvis under, if that's the case. And if your shoulders tend to come forward, maybe drawing them back a little bit. Lovely. We're just going to start by walking on the spot, lifting one heel and then swapping with the other side. If this feels too much to do this, then you could lift one heel, lower it first before you lift the other heel. So this is the more gentle version. And slightly more challenging on the calf muscles are to move so that at some point both heels are off the ground. Lovely. and then rest both feet on the ground. Sometimes with our standing, I'll give the legs a little shake out in between every single pose, just to release them and get the blood moving. Okay, so we're going to take the feet a little bit wider if that suits. For this, I'm taking my feet right behind the legs of the chair, so we've got a good bit of distance from when we step back. We're going to step back as far as is comfortable to keep the back foot flat on the ground. So the heel isn't raised, it's flat on the ground. So it could be that you don't move back very far with this foot. Come as far as is comfortable. So it will be softer, gentler on the calf muscle if you come forward a little bit. Stretching out this calf muscle is really great to do if you get nighttime cramps in the legs, or if you get cramps at any point in the leg. Stretching out that calf muscle into these essentially lunge legs will help ease cramps. So when we've found a comfortable position, and please do adjust until you've found that comfortable position, we can start to work with the arms if we want to. You can just keep the arms on the chair, or you could lift one arm into a cactus arm and then the other. And if you wish to, you could take them above the head. Staring straight forward. The warrior poses are power poses. Poses with attitude. Strength. If you have your arms, both arms raised, or even if you have one arm raised, let's lower those arms to the chair, roll the shoulders back, and do 3 press-ups. Lovely. And then step that back foot forward and the other foot back. It may be that you go a different length back on this side, remembering that we're not the same on both sides of the body. So adjusting, relaxing the shoulders back down. It could be that you just want the strength in the legs. So for the legs alone, this is a great strength pose. But if you want to add a little bit of work for the arms, you may be able to bring up one arm and then the other, or stretch them above the head. And then we're starting to work with our balance here. And breathing steady. It's good to check in with the breath quite regularly, because we can tend to hold the breath sometimes when we're focusing or trying something new. Lower the hands. And then let's go forward and back. Forward. And again. And this time we're going to take the other leg back. So we've not joined the leg forward, we've got some distance here. And with this forward bend we're going to do, again you can come as far as is comfortable. If you have some problems with your lower back, issues with your lower back, you might want to avoid this pose, because it can be, the lower back can be a little bit compromised. But that's up to you to have a little go. So it could be that your forward bend is really just coming forward slightly. We're hinging from the hip, so we're trying to keep our nice long back here. It could be that you can come a little further. And some of you may be able to come down so that you are essentially parallel with the floor. The legs are strong, but if you're feeling that stretch, that strain in the calf muscle again, then bring some soft legs, bend the knees. And breathe steady. We're going to come up slowly with control. We don't want to get too dizzy, so we do it very slowly. So first of all, we'll start to hinge, keeping looking down. Slowly as we come up, let the head rise last of all, and then step forward and forward. Well done. Okay, so we're going to do a version of dancer pose here, but we're going to try and keep it quite simple. So first of all, we're going to try and lift one leg. And then we're going to lift the opposite arm. Now have a go and see if you are able to straighten that leg out. And then we're going to even challenge ourselves more by seeing if we can bring some movement into this balance. So we're going to try and bend the leg and bend the arm. In and out, in and out. One more time. Holding on the whole time. And then lowering the hand and the opposite leg. So this is one of those great exercises again where we're coordinating the two opposite sides of the body. So the brain's having to work quite hard to do that coordination. We're also balancing on one foot, but we've got the support of the chair. So let's first of all take the weight onto the other leg now and lift the leg up. Stretch the opposite arm out and then see if you're able to stretch that leg out. If you're not able to stretch that leg out, this can be your pose. And it could even be your pose that you keep both arms down. If you have a straight leg and a straight arm, let's see if we can create some movement. We're bending both and back. Focusing on one point if it helps. And stretch one more time and lower both down and rest. You may need to, or just want to, have a little release of the legs. Lovely. Let's come back down to sit. So in our seated position, we're going to come towards the end of our practice with just a few more poses. I try to avoid using too much equipment in chair yoga because that can be off-putting, so you really just need a chair. Even though I'm using a block, you don't need to use a block if your chair is the right height for you to get your feet flat on the floor. But I'm going to introduce one more thing. Many of my students have resistance bands that they use to stretch out the arms and to stretch out the legs. And although I have resistance bands, today I'm just going to use a scarf. You don't need to have a resistance band, a scarf will do. A piece of material that's just nice and long to be able to hold on to will work the same way. So the way we're going to use it today is to help stretch out our legs. We were doing some leg exercises earlier, and this can be a good way to try and get that stretch that we were trying to do earlier, that straight stretch, but with some support. So what you can do is hold on to the resistance band or your scarf and place your foot into it. And then slowly we're going to draw the foot up. And the advantage of the resistance band is it's helping you to straighten the leg, but it's also helping you to sit up straight. So it encourages your torso to sit nice and long. Relaxing the shoulders down. And you may even be able to take the scarf or the resistance band in one hand and take the foot out to the side, only if your hips are okay with this. Maybe looking in the other direction and taking ourselves into an open twist. Drawing back, dropping that foot, and then trying on the other side. So first of all, to try and get that lovely straightness in the leg, relaxing the shoulders, straightening the torso. You could keep it here if you like, or you could, if your hip is okay to do so, take the leg out to one side, look in the other direction, maybe even take an arm out for an open twist. And you can still look forward, you don't need to strain your neck. Keep breathing. And back to centre. So the things I've used in the last 4 weeks of different sequences have been a scarf. The block could be replaced by a pillow. And the only other one was a tennis ball to release the feet. So if these are things that you've got in the house, you can use them. But otherwise, you really do just need a chair. So we're going to finish with a little bit of arm work before our relaxation. We're going to take the arms out in front of us. And we're going to wriggle the fingers. Let's wriggle them as we raise the arms up above the head And we'll wriggle them as we draw them back down again. And then towards the lap. And rest. This time we're going to draw the fingers up. And now we're going to pulse the arms. And this time we're going to go from side to side. And we can look if we want to. Back to centre. And round to the other side. And back to centre. And now we pulse our arms down to our knees. Well done. I'm going to invite us to do one last back bend by taking the hands into the back of the chair. If that seems too much, just take the hands just behind you. We're opening our shoulders. You can look up to the ceiling. So it's a gentle arching of the back. Breathe steady. If you want to make this back bend a little bit stronger, you would take your arms above your head and allow them to come behind you. And you'll feel that the weight of your arms intensifies the back bend, makes it a little bit stronger in the lower back. Don't forget your breathing. Breathe in and lower. As we've done a back bend that's a little energising, we can end the practice before our relaxation with a forward bend. And again, forward bends can be as gentle as you like. I do encourage, if you've got problems, if you've had a doctor look at your lower back for any different conditions, then forward bends can be a little bit tricky, not just tricky to do, but they could make your back more vulnerable to future pain. So only do this if your lower back is okay. If your lower back is delicate, or if you have any problems in your lower spine, then an upright seated position is your forward bend. Otherwise, you may slide the hands back down, and we're hinging in our forward bend. I'm turning so that you can see my back, you don't need to turn. And we may be even hinging a bit further. And this could be enough. So this would be an extended forward bend. And then we would be starting to change the spine if we wanted to come into a deep forward bend. I'm going to do this forward so that my feet are supported by the block. Deep forward bend, and the crown of the head would come to the floor. And this is starting to work our body towards a relaxed state. So we can take a few breaths here. And if this feels too much, or if you start to feel a bit sickly or dizzy when you're down here, then start to bring yourself into the extended forward bend. So if you're in the full forward bend, now start to bring yourself to the extended forward bend as a transition to coming upright. Placing the hands on the knees as we then hinge from the hips to sit upright. Well done. We're going to finish now with our relaxation. So let's draw ourselves back towards the back of the chair. If you have a chair with a bit of a slant on it like I do, you may want to put a cushion. So it's important that you do use a chair that feels comfortable particularly for the practice. So this is why sometimes a hard chair is actually better, because it is supporting our spine. But then a cushion for the relaxation will keep us sitting upright, but be comfortable. Let's do one last relaxation of the shoulders, drawing them back and down. Gently closing the eyes if that feels comfortable, or lowering the gaze. So really ignoring the screen right now. This is a moment that we can now draw within. Check in with our internal weather, how we're feeling now we've completed the practice. How is our breathing? Maybe you could notice the changes from the beginning of the practice to now. And I'm going to invite you to join me in 3 sighing breaths. So with our sighing breaths, we'll breathe in deeply through the nose and sigh the breath out through the mouth. And then returning your breath to your normal breathing. Starting to picture your toes, each toe relaxing, the bottom of the feet, the tops of the feet, the heels, the ankles, the lower legs relaxing, calf muscles releasing away from the bones, knees softening, upper legs releasing, becoming heavy, softness in the pelvis and the hips. Releasing tension from the tummy and softening the lower back. Noticing the lovely gentle rhythm as we breathe in and out. The chest rises and falls. Shoulder blades draw downwards. And shoulders relax away from the ears. Relaxing the upper arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, hands, fingers and thumbs. Relaxing the neck and the throat inside the neck. Softening around the jaws, releasing tension from the hinges of the jaws, relaxing the tongue away from the roof of the mouth, and softening the lips, cheeks, the muscles around and behind the eyes, smoothing the forehead, lightening thoughts. Becoming aware of what we can hear, maybe in a distance, outside the house, the building we're in. Can we notice sound a little closer? Slight sound in the room that we are in. Can we notice even closer within us the sound of our breathing, the sense of movement from our heart beating? Beginning to take a deeper breath in and out. Starting to sit a little taller in the chair. And beginning to blink the eyes open as we bring some movement to the fingers and the toes. Allowing the hands to drop to either side of the chair and turning the palms to face outwards. Breathing in and stretching wide and high. Breathing out, relaxing and releasing. Breathing in and opening. Breathing out, drawing the hands to the heart space. Breathing in through the nose and out through nose or mouth. Thank you for joining me, everybody. Om Shanti. Namaste.